Team Blackburn. I'm so excited you guys are here. This is our 8th show. We just keep going and going. And tonight is no exception. Happy 4th of July. I hope you guys all had a great time. I am in the middle of Los Angeles, close to a few of our guests tonight, actually. And I got to tell you, it was so loud here in LA. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of fireworks in Los Angeles, but it's not one show. You know what I mean? It's not one thing. It's about 4,000 things going on at the same time, just everywhere. And in fact, you can't even really discern between one set of fireworks and another. They all blend together. It's almost like a storm is what it's like. It's like a thunderstorm. It never stops. And but it was fun. Nonetheless, it's always a good time here in Los Angeles, and it cracks me up to see so many displays. Although I'll be honest with you, I was sitting out back of my apartment last night, and I heard it all, but I couldn't see that many. Do you know what I mean? So it was like all around me, but not actually, I couldn't see them. So, and then today, the air quality, not so good. Believe it or not, it's still lingering, the smoke. And anyway, it's Los Angeles. The other thing you may not know is that there's basically fireworks every night of the week. Like, people don't really care if it's the 4th of July. There always seems to be a reason to celebrate. Anyway, you guys, I'm super happy you're here at the Story Worthy Hour of Power. All the guests that are on this show have appeared on the Story Worthy podcast. And as you just saw in my new little video, it's been 10 years. Yeah, the 10-year anniversary, which is pretty much bananas. Thank you for clapping. Yeah, it's exciting. This week on the show, Tammy Pescatelli is on, and she's a fabulous comedian. And she's talking about living in a stripper colony. So there, you see, it never ends. True story after true story after true story. Anyway, you guys, we've got 4 fabulous talents here tonight, and stick around for the after show, because in the after show, we play a little something called Story Smash, as you probably know. So we'll get the show started right away, you guys, and I'm going to bring up our very first guest. I was going to say contestant. There's no game here. We're straight on, we're all guests. The first guest, you guys, he is a talented comedian and musician, and he's also a great friend to many, many comedians because he books those tours for the troops. You know what I'm talking about? When they go overseas and they entertain the troops. Well, this guy has put together 19 of these. So he is just a friend to many, many people all over the world, and especially to comedians and to me. You have seen this guy on Jimmy Kimmel and heard him on Sirius XM. Please welcome my friend, Johnny Cardinale.
I just unmuted myself. Hi, how are you guys? Hi, Cynthia. I haven't seen you in a couple of years. Yeah, it's happy 4th of July, everybody. I live in LA, but I'm in Ohio right now, where I'm from originally. And I guess there was a lot of smoke last night in LA. You know what happens when the smoke lifts out of Los Angeles? You see LA. Come on, guys. All right. But it's funny, though, because it is July 4th, in a weekend, and the military tours are kind of what I'm known for. I didn't start out that way, and that's actually one of the stories I was going to talk about, or the story, I guess. I have done 19 tours. This will be the first year, 2020, the way things are shaking out. I'm supposed to go overseas in November to do another tour, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So this will be the first year in 13 years that I have not gone overseas to do at least one show for the troops. So I've been to a lot of crazy places. I've been to 68 countries at this point, and a lot of crazy stories, but this is probably the craziest. It was my second tour ever. This is, like I said, 13 years ago. It was me and a comedian, Lauren Ashley Bishop. Some of you guys may know her, you comedians. And this guy, Matt Betts. Me and Lauren are in Los Angeles. Matt lived in New York at the time. So Armed Forces Entertainment, they were going to do is fly us me and Lauren, from LA to Heathrow, London. And Matt was going to meet us there in London, flying straight from New York. Then we were all three going to fly to Moscow. And then from there, we were going to fly to Kyrgyzstan and do a show in Kyrgyzstan. Now, at the time, I'd never even heard of Kyrgyzstan, so I had to look it up, one of the Stan countries. So anyhow, what happened is, this is only my second tour, so I wasn't really used to traveling much. I like to bring books. Like not Kindle, I bring books. So I go to the bookstore. I got these long flights. I better bring a couple books, right? So I buy one on the Beatles. I'm a huge Beatles fan. I'm a scholar. I've read about 20 books on them already, but I buy another one. I'm like, all right, I just head to the cashier line and I'm like, I might just plow through this book. I might need another one. This sounds almost like made up, this story. I'm in line and like sort of the impulse buy books. They have a new biography on Hitler. And I've always been fascinated by, I know he's a maniac, but I've always been fascinated like how he could get even one person to believe in what he was preaching at the time, whatever, and let alone thousands. So I was just kind of fascinated by the guy. So I go, well, okay, let me just grab this, whatever, on my way. I didn't know if I even get to it. Okay, so I got those books in my backpack. So the flight, me and Lauren, we fly from LA to Heathrow, and we had a little bit of a delay in LA getting out. So we get to Heathrow, and we got to make our way to whatever other airline to catch to go to Moscow, and we missed our connection. Now, Matt had gotten there earlier, and he went on without us because he didn't know what to do. We were in the air when this happened. And so we didn't know what to do. This is only my second tour. Now I've traveled a little bit more. I'm a little more savvy, I guess. So we call Armed Forces Entertainment, and we just go, we missed our flight. So they'll, they're very good about readjusting. Anyhow, long story short, they got it. They rebooked us, rerouted us. Now there's not a whole lot of flights going to Kyrgyzstan, so they rerouted us through Tel Aviv. But we had a 6-hour wait in Heathrow, so we just sat there for 6 hours. Not a big deal. Nice airport. Then we go to Tel Aviv, me and Lauren, and nice flight there. We're walking off the plane, and then we got to catch our connecting flight to Manas or Manis, whatever airport. And we're walking off like with everybody else, and there's this person standing there with a clipboard, a lady in like her suit in Tel Aviv, and we walk off, and she goes, "Mr. Cardinale," oh, it's Cardinale, but she goes, "Mr. Cardinale, Miss Bishop," and we're like, "Yeah." She goes, "Come with me," and we're like, "What? How did you know it was us, first of all, and why are you waiting for us?" Just the two of us. Take us to this holding like area. Wait here. And I'm like, oh my, and like, again, looking back now, I'm like, at the time I had only done one military tour, and we went to 3 countries on that tour. We went to Japan, Yemen, because we had a layover in Yemen, and then Djibouti, Africa. So those are the 3 stamps on my passport at the time. That doesn't look suspicious, right? So we are sitting there in this room, not knowing what's going on. She goes, "Somebody will be with you shortly." 45 minutes, her and I sitting in this room. And it's like a TSA type room. They got a scanner, like x-ray machine and all that. And then so I'm finding a couple people come in suits, and they're like, "Okay, we need to look through your stuff." We're like, okay. Just our carry-ons, our other bags went on the way. And so they went, Lauren first. I mean, they took apart her backpack. They're taking her like lipsticks and looking in the caps and stuff. And they're scouring everything. And I'm sitting there, we're in Tel Aviv, Israel, and I'm going, I have a book on Hitler in my backpack. And I'm not like super traveled at this point, right? And I'm sitting there going, is that okay? Is this going to be an international incident? And the 3 stamps on my passport are Japan, Yemen, and Djibouti, Africa. I'm going, oh my God, I can't even believe this. I'm starting to get really nervous, And what happened is they on the plane, I got a USA Today, that lame ass paper. I was reading that on the plane, and then I just put it in my backpack. So I just sit there and I get the like life section out, and I pretend to be reading it while they're doing Lauren's bags. And then I just kind of reach into my backpack and pull out the rest of the newspaper and throw it away. But I pulled out the Hitler book too, and I threw that in the trash right there, having never opened it. I've never even looked at the book. And then I just sat there and waited for them to do. And then they went through my book. They never looked. I said, "Do you imagine if they found me throwing it out, how bad that would have looked?" rather than me just owning it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know what to do. So anyhow, they passed us both. We made our connecting flight. Like seriously, I just couldn't believe it. But we're obviously delayed. Matt had already been there. He got on base. He was at the base. So we arrive at 6 a.m. and Manas Airport base in Kyrgyzstan. Our luggage did not arrive, and there's no customer service in Kyrgyzstan. So the military guys who picked us up, they're like, we'll just have to worry about this when we drop you guys off 3 days later. So we're like, what? So we get to the base at almost 7 a.m. after that whole day of flying. Our first show was at 8 a.m. that morning in Kyrgyzstan because those guys work on 8-hour shifts, 24 hours. So these guys were just getting off work, going to the bar. The bar was open. They were getting smashed at 8 a.m. So we did a show right up, like an hour after we arrived on base, after traveling for, I don't know how many hours, 20 some hours, all told. And it was a fantastic show, by the way. But then we had no clothes for 3 days. So this guy, they took us off base and we went to this high school in Kyrgyzstan to like give gifts out to the kids. And it was a K through 12 school and play basketball. And let me tell you something. They even told us, they go, these kids, 30% of them don't live to the age of 19 just because of disease and anybody wants to complain about America, go somewhere else, please. Because when you see what the world's like out there, America is the greatest place on planet Earth. And so we go and play with the next day. This is the next day, right? But all I had was one pair of pants and they were dirty from traveling all day. So some dude gives me a pair of cargo pants that I can wear. They're his pants. They're used, but they're clean. But they're size 36 waist. I wear 33. So I put them on with this giant belt. And this is what we go into town and I have pictures of it somewhere of me with these giant cargo pants on. And so anyhow, that worked out great. I don't, by the way, time, just give me the light of, I don't even know how long the story goes because I've never told it quite like this. I actually never told the story before. And we played basketball with them. We give gifts. It was a really amazing experience. And then we come back and we're on the base for 3 days. We did a lot of cool things. There was this old Russian dude who had, I'm not kidding, a falcon collection, like falcons. He's the falcon guy. And what he was, the reason it was actually practical because on the flight line, his falcons would chase off the birds that would fly and get into the engines of the planes. So I got a picture of me with a falcon in Kyrgyzstan, like all the weird things. And then, okay, we had a good time on the base. Then we go back to the airport, tiny little airport, Manas Airport, for God's sakes. We need to get our luggage. This tour is almost 3 weeks long. There's no customer service. There's no calls. We don't have our luggage. We just have to go. So we leave without our luggage. And then we went to Abu Dhabi. We went to Qatar, Dubai. This is after Kyrgyzstan, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, by the way, if anybody's been, we get there. And it's me and Matt by the time. This time we're all three united. Me, Matt, and Lauren. They passed through customs. I'm at customs. The guy has my passport. He goes, looks just like a guy from Saudi Arabia. Look, giant beard, have seat. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? And the military, they can't come get us. We're still on that side. So I'm by myself. The other two have passed through. I'm sitting there for 45 minutes. And I keep looking at the guy going, then he calls me up, scanning my eyes. You got to do the eye thing. Take your hat off, all this kind of crap. And then he goes, go have a seat again. You're in Saudi Arabia. You're going, I have no rights. What happens? What do I do? It's only the second time I've ever traveled. And I've got Japan, Yemen, and Djibouti, Africa on my passport. That's it. So I don't know if they're at odds. I don't know what's going on. Anyhow, finally they passed me through like an hour and a half later. And I go to the military. I go, why did he do that? He goes, because he could. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So then we're in Saudi Arabia. This is all one tour, right? And then they go, hey, one of the guys goes, you guys want to go off base, see some sights? Because we generally stay on base where it's safe and stuff. We're like, sure. So Lauren had to put on a full-on burqa, like literally just her eyes, just so she could be hanging out with me and Matt and the driver. So he takes us to this place. It's a Sunday, so everything's closed. And we're at this big area, and he goes, "This is called Chopping Square." I'm like, "Wow, why? A lot of meat? You know, is this where they get their meat and stuff like that?" They go, "No, no. Fridays they bring out the guillotine. This is where they chop people's head off." I'm like, "Oh, kid. Chopping Square. That's where he takes us." So that's the sites I got to see Saudi Arabia. Anyhow, that was about a week into the tour. Still no luggage. And everywhere we go, and we're not staying anywhere for long, we're trying to call. We don't know where the luggage is, what we're trying to call. Finally, we found out at Turkish Airlines, they got it somewhere. Long story short, I don't know, probably getting towards the end here. Well, this was a 3-week tour that started in Kyrgyzstan, ended in, I want to say Bahrain, something like that. We never had luggage the entire time. We went to like these Walmart stores in, similar to Walmart in like Abu Dhabi, and bought like the ugliest shirts that don't fit right. You know, it's all like this with like these sayings. We don't even know what they say, but they're just cheap t-shirts. This is what we wore for 3 weeks performing, guys. You know what I mean? And like the dumbest clothes you ever freaking saw. I had a pair of shorts that said Corona, the beer. That's all they had that would fit me. That I bought in Abu Dhabi. And then we get them. The tour went great. It was a fantastic tour, shows wise. And then we get home and we're like, well, our luggage is gone forever. And then Lauren, to her credit, Lauren Ashley Bishop, she got on the phone and she was relentless with Turkish Airlines. The luggage had been sitting in some warehouse in their lost luggage for a month. We got our luggage back a month after the tour started. So we didn't have luggage for a 3-week tour. We got by just, people give us toothpaste and a t-shirt here and there, and we buy that crap. And still, it was like, I would turn around and go do that all again tomorrow if I had the chance. I think that's it. I think that's it for my story, guys. Is that long enough for you?
That was great. That was, am I muted?
I'm good now. I can hear you now, yeah.
That was amazing, honestly, Johnny. Wow. I've traveled quite a bit as well because I was a flight attendant, and then I traveled on my own as well. And it really does get very, very hairy especially when you're in the Middle East. I was in Oman, and I also was in Dubai. And yeah, it's just a whole nother ball of wax, and you do feel a little bit scared because you have no rights, you have no control, and boy, oh boy, you just feel like, I always feel like when I'm overseas, I feel like I'm like an American, like maybe somebody would pay for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they would hold me. I don't know. It scares the shit out of me though. But I'm excited for you, and you do so much good stuff, Johnny, so thank you on behalf of me and the country. You guys know that I'm the youngest of 6. I've told you guys this before. I have 4 older sisters. I have an older brother. And so me and all my siblings, when you're the youngest of 6, I mean, obviously you pretty much have to be like on fire to get any notice. But the good thing about being the youngest of 6 is that the rules in the family, like the parental, the rules, things start to get very, very lax by the 6th child. Like, they just don't care anymore. So from the age of about 14 on, I was kind of on my own. And so let me just give you an example. My oldest sister, Lauren, when she was 18, she was the star in her high school musical called Our Town. And she was the star. And my father would not let her go to the cast party because it was just, she had to go home. So she did the play, she had to go right home. Now, when I was 18 years old, I took a trip across the United States for 3 weeks with a guy named Bobby Pfeiffer, and we had an Econoline van with a mattress in the back. So you see, the things were just a little bit different. And I wanted to tell you a quick story about Bobby Pfeiffer and I. We got to the Grand Canyon. And we were so excited. It was just like, wow, the Grand Canyon. And this is back in the 80s. There really wasn't that much signage out. And we just looked at the Grand Canyon. This is beautiful. It's amazing. And we were at the Capatch Trail, if you know the Grand Canyon. And we decided to just walk down the Grand Canyon. I mean, what's the problem? So we took a gallon of water between the 2 of us. Like, I had a half gallon, he had a half gallon. And we just start down the path. And I don't know if you've been to the Grand Canyon, but it's a lot of fun. And going down is really fun because it's all downhill. So we were running like this and we're having a good time and we're singing. We had a wonderful time. Every time the mules would come by, we would have to back up against the cliff and let those mules pass, you know, the people are on it. And the whole time we're like, you know, you sucker, you can't even walk. You can't even hike down the Grand Canyon. Get off that mule. And we sort of laughed at those people. Well, then we get to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and guess what? It only took 2.5 hours. It was really fast. We were down there. It was like amazing. And we look at the clock. It's like 11 o'clock a.m. We're at this place called the Phantom Ranch. It's beautiful, and it's exciting. And about 3/4 of our water is gone. And now we have to walk up. We have no reservation here at the Phantom Ranch, and it's time to go. So we start walking up, hiking up the Grand Canyon. Well, I think you know where this is going, you guys. Hour 1, hour 2, hour 3, there go the mules, and God, I wish I was on a mule. Hour 4, hour 5, the water is gone, obviously, no more water. The heat is just relentless. There is gray dirt. It's like clay, and it's in your face, it's in your mouth, it's in your nostrils, it's in your fingernails. You kind of both look like you're ghosts at this point. You're covered in this gray dirt, or red dirt, really. And we go and we go and we hike. It took us 8.5 hours to get to the top of the Grand Canyon. So now I'm 18 years old. Bobby Pfeiffer's 21. And we get to the top. Now, toward the top, we both start getting sick. I guess it was heat stroke or whatever. And we start vomiting. We're vomiting. He's vomiting. I'm vomiting. No water. We finally get to the top. And we basically are like crawling to the van. I mean, I've been crying. We were both upset. It was just, you know, we get to the van. And it had been broken into. Yeah, somebody broke into the van. And so now things are going from bad to worse. Now on this trip, we were going to be gone 3 weeks. So Bobby Pfeiffer, he had 3 cases of cassettes. There were 75 cassettes in each case. It was Hotel California. I mean, just there's so much great music in these three cassette holders, and we just were so, you know, the whole trip was about that music, obviously. Now we get to the top of the Grand Canyon, the window of the van is smashed, and guess what? There are no cases of cassettes. The person has stolen our cassettes. Nothing else but all the music. But one cassette, this funny person left on the seat, and that was the soundtrack from We Are the World. So that guy went through, or that person went through every cassette, literally looking at the cassettes and choosing. He chose all of them, but just to fuck with us, he left that shitty cassette on the front seat. And when I saw that, well, I know humor. And I bust out laughing. I couldn't believe how funny that was to me. I just lost it. It was like, basically I was hallucinating. I was just crazed. I was thirsty, and I couldn't stop laughing. And the rest of the trip with Bobby Pfeiffer didn't go so well. Turns out he was kind of pissed that I laughed. But what can I say? I know funny. Thank you. There you go. A trip across the U.S. I don't know if you guys have done that. I've probably gone across the United States, maybe 4 or 5 times, but no more. We're done. We're done with that. I'll fly any day. Anyway, you guys, thanks for listening. We're going to move right along. This next talent coming to the stage, she is a comedian, and here we are. Oh, here we are. She is another comic, and check this out. She's also performed for the troops. I don't know if she was ever with Johnny Cardinale, but this girl, she's been to Bosnia, Kosovo, Korea, Japan, and Guantanamo. She's originally from Chicago, and she began studying acting by the age of 11 and training with Chicago's famous Second City by the age of 15. Now, she was one of the original girls of the comedy store. And she actually wrote her own original pilot. It's called Girls of the Comedy Store. And she's also working on her own pilot. No, I don't think that's right. I think she's working on her own pilot called Unprepared for Life. That's for sure. All right, you guys, please welcome the very talented Cynthia Levin.
Yay. Unmute myself. Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay. It's good to see everybody. I'm still in my room, which is fucked. Anyway, oh, no swearing. Christina, I'm just kidding. Okay, so anyway, let's hear it for everybody so far. Really good. That's a, yep, there we go. This, I'm going to talk about, so I'm a Jew. So anyway, I know, relax. I know it's shocking. So anyway, I was brought up Jewish, and one day when one day my dad called me into his den, and he said, I need to talk to you. And I was like, okay, it's to give me one of his lectures, which would turn out I would have a million lectures after that and before. And he basically said, you are not allowed to date anybody that isn't Jewish. It is up to you to keep, only 4% of the population is Jewish, and it is up to you to keep it going, And I was like, I was 10. So I had to get on that right away. So anyway, so at 15, I went to go to the grocery store, Dominic's, it's in Chicago, and I was shopping there for my mom. And my friend Lori was the cashier, and so I had like a cart full of kosher food, because we were really Jewish, we weren't playing around, you know what I mean? And so I had a cart full of Jewish food, and there's like a whole queue of people behind me, and my friend Lori's like, so how are you? So do you want to go on a blind date? Anyway, and so she talked that slow, but so you can imagine the line was getting longer and longer. And I was like, that sounds gross, but anyway, so I decided to go on this blind date at 15, which really was gross to me. To go with Kevin, my boyfriend, and his friend. Anyway, so we go on this blind date, and they pull up in a black 1963 Galaxy. I don't know if you know what that looks like, but it's fucking stunning, right? And so all I care about is the car at this point. I can care less about the guy or anybody. I just was interested in being in the back seat of that car. I never even looked at the dude I was sitting next to. Didn't look at him until they went and got liquor at the liquor store, and then he came back, and I saw his crotch because he was 6'6". It was in the window, and so I was starving all of a sudden. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, so I was just like, oh, whatever, and I was nervous then because it was, he was 6'6". Anyway, so we go to the lake, Clark Square in Evanston, and we're like sitting on the rocks, and it was like love at first sight, it was just like, and like in my head, I can hear that song from the jazz singer, Love on the Rocks, Ain't No Surprise. And it was sung by Neil Diamond, and it was all about how this cantor, which is a man who sings in temple, how he falls in love with a shiksa, which is a non-Jew, for anybody who's not sure what that word sounds like. A terrible word. It just means non-Jewish girl. So he falls in love with the shiksa, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, love on the road. Anyway, it was a really great night. So we fall in love, or fantasy, don't know, doesn't matter. It's a Jewish girl's dream to be with a blonde yellow thing, like it's like the total opposite. That's your, knight in shining armor, as long as he doesn't look like your father, I'm interested, type of thing, So anyway, so we have this like fantastic relationship. It's great because I didn't have a personality yet, and neither did he. So it was like, it's really it's fantastic. We dated for a really long time, but I had to date him in secret. Because I was not allowed to date anybody that wasn't Jewish. That was one among many rules that I had. So we would meet in the middle, which also happened to be the temple that I went to. So that's where our little secret meeting place was, the temple. And we were dating for a long time. And then one day my parents went out of town, and they went to Japan for 5 weeks. And I was so excited, because it was like, oh, great, I can bring him home, right? Even though I had 5 brothers and sisters, I was like, they'll be fine, So anyway, so I bring him home, and one day we're like laying in the basement on the couch watching the Cubs game, which is like what you do in Chicago on a summer day. And so we were watching the Cubs game, and all of a sudden my sister comes down the stair, and it was as if it was as if she saw Anne Frank in the attic, except it was the reverse. It was a blonde in the basement, and she was like, she was like looking down the banister, like whatever. And then she ran upstairs, I was like, whatever. And I was like, whatever. And then I ran up after her, and like, we have all these Jewish paintings, and the Jewish paintings were frowning at me. They were judging me, and then and I was just like, Leslie, and she's like, if you don't tell mom and dad, I will. And I was like, whatever. And then even the paintings had the same obstinacy in their faces. They were like, I was like, and so anyway, it was a nightmare. So I was really scared. And so I was panicked because I knew I had to tell my parents. And so, I've been living my entire life in secret up to this point. They didn't give a shit about anything. They knew nothing about me, but all of a sudden, oh my God, I got to tell them something about me, So my parents go to Japan. They come back home after this 5 weeks. And, we're all in the living room, assembled in there, waiting for our gifts from Japan. And, we're like giant Jewish people. And my mother bought us tiny outfits, that look like doll dresses from Japan. We're all like, well, I can't wait to throw that on. Well, thank you, Bobby, whatever. So anyway, but the whole time, all I could think about was, oh my God, I got to tell my parents. Oh my God, because if I didn't, she will, anyway. So I go up to, somehow I got my parents to come to my bedroom. That's awkward, by the way. But anyway, somehow I must have said something, and I had them come upstairs to my room. And my mother was sitting on, I was sitting on one bed. My mom was sitting on the opposite bed, And my dad, was just like pacing the room, and it was as if he was in, like Pharaoh, in a cape. And he was just pacing the room, walking back and forth, like a terrible high school play, and, and it was like, to me, like the room was on fire, you know what I mean? Because like I saw everything in animation. So to me, it was like actual cartoon flames were everywhere. And I was like pouring in sweat. And my mom somehow was able to withstand the heat. No problem. Anyway, so my dad's screaming. He's like, if you don't break up with him, you are dead as my daughter. I'm going to disown you, and I'm going to be saying Kaddish for you, which in the Jewish religion is when they just like rip a piece of, their clothing, and then they, and you're dead to them. And so, and again, here was the jazz singer. It's exactly what happened with Neil's dad. And then he was dead. So I was like, here we go. I'm really fulfilling this story. So anyway, and so, my dad's pacing, then he just like storms out in his cape, and my mother just sat there, and then she said, well, she had one thing to say my whole life, pretty much. She goes, have you two talked about what religion you would be if you got married? And I go, well, actually, yeah, we did. Because his mother asked him the same thing. And he said, whatever she is. And then she went. And that was pretty much it, because she has a lot to say. And then that was it. It was like the end of everything. So anyway, I had to break up with him because I was still, I was still 16, I was going to be, or 15, I was going to be disowned. I didn't have that much cash from the hot dog stand, so it was like, so I'm walking the streets, right? So basically I call him up and I say, whatever, and we meet and we break up, and he doesn't it's pouring rain, and you couldn't discern the tears from from the rain. It was very powerful. And, and we went our separate ways, and I was like, Mark! Anyway, that was the end of that. And so, anyway, so I hope that wasn't too loud for everybody. But anyway, so it was powerful. So anyway, so for 5 days, I walked around with like my boom box, as I always did. It was my only friend. I walked around with my boom box, and I was just like crying. Every time I opened my mouth, I was like, wah, wah. And I walked for 5 days like that. So one day I'm in the car with my friend Lori, the matchmaker, and her friend Lisa. And I'm sitting in the middle of the two of them. And I think Lisa is driving us. And I'm miserable, totally miserable. And Lisa goes, so all of a sudden we're like 4 blocks from Dominic's, which is, the grocery store where the guys hang out in the parking lot. And I was like, I could just feel that he was there. I could just feel it. And I go, take me to Dominic's. And then of course, Lori was like, Cynthia, no, your dad. I'm like, take me to Domino. I became Pharaoh now. Take me to Dominic's. So anyways, all right. She really was like upset about it, So then we go to Dominic's, and it was like we could feel each other, I didn't even need to see him. I could feel that he was there. We like kind of found each other. He jumped off of a pickup truck with a Budweiser in his hand, or I think it was an old style, and he just like jumped off, and we like came into each other's arms, and we embraced again, and it was it was amazing. And we continued dating, and I went away to college, and I think I started dating somebody else by accident. I forgot I had a boyfriend. It was really weird. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. I came back from college one day, and he was laying in his station wagon with his feet out the passenger window and his head out the driver's side, because he's 6'6", and he can't fit in any other way. So I went around, and he was passed out in there because he usually drank a little bit, and I like knocked on his blonde hair, and I got into the passenger seat, and he asked me to marry him, and I'm getting chills right now, and I just started thinking, I like had these dreams of being successful, and I thought I can't be a fireman's wife, and I mean that's not enough for me, and it just kind of came out of my mouth. I just go, no, I don't know, it just came out, no, like who the fuck am I? No. Anyway, he's been married twice. I'm still single. The point is, I should have taken door number one. We are still in each other's lives, by the way, in case anybody's concerned. Yep. Yeah, all these years later. There you go. So that's my story.
All right, Cynthia Levin. Oh my gosh, you're so funny, dude. You all of your characters are so realistic. When you talk like dish. I don't know how you do it, but you are so entertaining and so funny. And when you are on Storyworthy, Cynthia, I'll let the audience know, if you guys haven't heard Cynthia, go back and listen. She talks about cheating. And that's what we have in common, Cynthia, because I cheated my entire way through school as well. And so did Cynthia Levin. There you go. And I think we're both one of 6, right? You said. Yeah, we're both one of 6. So that's what happens when there's so many children. You just start cheating. Nobody's checking on you, really. On my SATs, I got an 840. And that's like a 55%. And I'm probably wrong. All right, you guys, coming up right now, this guy is a writer and a comedian, and he's consistently one of the funniest people you will ever follow on Twitter. Now, he's written for many television shows, including The Martin Short Show, Comedy Central's Roast of Roseanne Barr, and on all 4 seasons of At Midnight. He is also a regular expert on the game show Story Smash, and he's here right now. So please welcome Blaine Capatch.
Here, let me unmute myself. Hi, how you doing? Hey everybody, it's me, Blaine. It's great to be here, and by here I mean home. My favorite part of recording Storyworthy was always circling for parking for 20 minutes outside of Christine's street. It's great. It's like being at Trader Joe's with trees. Oh, look, a bird for 20 minutes. Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Christine. First of all, I'd like to say I enjoyed your story about the Grand Canyon. Any story that starts with how much water you have is going to end badly. It was a blast listening to that. Also, Jonathan was talking about going through the airport and stuff, and I learned that he was talking about they checked his chapstick cap. And I don't talk about this a lot. I was in the Navy for 2 months. I was in boot camp, and they kicked me out for walking in my sleep. But one day I was getting drilled by some weird CPO that was coming at me, and they were doing a flash inspection on people like a flood that would carry a tribe away. And we were all issued a chapstick. I had chapstick in my pocket. We were in San Diego because we had just completely sunburned everywhere. And he goes, hey, where are you from, recruit? And I said, I'm from Pennsylvania, sir. Pennsylvania, huh? You hang out in cornfields, do a lot of drugs, huh? Recruit. I'm like, yeah, well, not really. "Oh, a lot of recruits here, they get their girlfriends, send them LSD. They put their LSD in the chapstick cap, think we're not going to find it. You don't have any LSD in your chapstick cap, do you, recruit?" I know, I don't, of course not. Acid in my chapstick cap. And he yells at me for 3 minutes in front of my face. And I learned a very important lesson, Christine. And that lesson, of course, is you can hide acid in your chapstick cap. Anyway, that bit, of course, brought to you by Three Guys Burgers. Fuck those other two guys. Oops, I'm not allowed to say a thing. And also brought to you by Rice Pilaf, when you really should have gotten a baked potato now that you think about it. Here's what I wanted to talk about, Christine. I've been in lockdown with my family for, what is it now, 4 months. And I love my wife. I have a 7-year-old boy. He turned 7 during the quarantine. This is going to scar him for life. It's fantastic, everything that's going on. But I think I would like to think about things that happened before the thing that happened. So one of the things that I like to think about is when I proposed to my wife. I proposed to my wife in Paris, which is a place we can't go now because we're all sick. But this is right back after 9/11, and I was a little worried that I was going to get popped with a ring in my pocket. I had the ring in a matchstick box. It was very goth of me, and velvet and stuff. And I had a plan in case they caught it at TSA. If they said, "Hey, what's this thing in your pocket?" You whoop, 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 with a wand going up and down, making the Joanne Whirly noise. And then if I had to go down on one knee, I would do the airport thing where I would propose to the airport. That was my contingency plan, but it all worked out. I was very happy. We get to Paris and we go to Notre Dame, and it's again, this is before it was burned down last year, and a horrible harbinger of things to come. And it was still beautiful, and it was a gorgeous day in June. And we were over there. My wife and I went to France, usually every year, maybe every couple of years, to an animation festival in Annecy, which is in the Alps near Geneva. It's absolutely gorgeous. We would go over there, and it would be a blast to be there for a couple of weeks. And so we but we stop at Paris. We're there for a few days. Her whole family's there. And we're in front of Notre Dame, which is the geographic center of Paris. I picked that because not for any religious reasons or anything. And there's like flocks of starlings and pigeons around, like in a movie, and just groups of French kids running around in French school uniforms, like some from horror movie. And I go down on one knee. I go, "Hey, will you marry me?" And the waterworks start, and it was adorable. Of course, I'll marry you. And I put the ring on the right finger on the wrong hand. It was so cute. It was adorable. We both laughed. And then I don't know if you've ever been engaged or married. When you ask somebody to marry you and they say yes and you become engaged, it's a very important step in your life. And psychologically, your brain shifts into a weird fugue state where you're stunned for about an hour, a couple hours, as your brain goes, "Okay, now I'm engaged. I don't have a girlfriend, I have a fiance. I'm going to be somebody's husband. She's going to be my wife. This is for the rest of our lives, blah, blah, blah." Your brain starts to process that stuff. Like a dog waking up in a hospital with 3 legs. Well, now I have 3 legs. I have to figure out how to make this work. So we're walking around immediately after I pop the question. And how am I doing on time? Everything cool? Everything's good? Good. All right, love it. Love thumbs. And so we're walking around in Paris, like I said, and it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. We're by the Seine, and it's June. It's a beautiful day, and we go to a flower market, a big outdoor flower market, and there's roses hanging from trellises, and there's freesia and orchids, and it's gorgeous, and it smells beautiful, and there's butterflies and bees and birds like from before, and more French kids, and it's terrifying. And I'm looking around trying to process being engaged, and I see Joe Walsh from the Eagles and the James Gang, and life's been good to me so far. Joe Walsh. If you don't know who Joe Walsh is, he's a very great rock guitarist, great rock star. He chainsaws his hotel rooms to pieces. He's an ugly guy. He looks like a potato's foot. And I know Joe Walsh because I met him briefly when I worked at Manti, and about the Air Guitar Center, not the Guitar Center, it's the Air Guitar Center. And everybody's pretending to play guitars and pretending to sell stuff. It's an empty store. That was Joe for 8 pages. But Joe Walsh came in to do this bit, and I was like, oh, hey, cool, Joe Walsh. Gigantic head, like Easter Island head, one of those giant heads. I love Joe Walsh. He's fantastic. And oh, sorry, I live behind a fire station, and there's a epidemic going on. So I hear ambulances going out 24 hours a day. Anyway, you can cut this all out, Christine. I know we're live, but you can still cut it out later in your head. So I see Joe Walsh, and I start walking towards him. I have to say something to him. I know this guy, and it's very weird. I'm still in this stunned state. I'm like, I got to say something to Joe. He's got to be playing in town. He's got to be playing a concert or something. And then he's going to look at me, and he goes, hey, I'll say, hey, Joe. Hey, I met you on Mad TV. Oh, right. I remember you from 15 minutes 12 years ago in the middle of a weird haze. Oh, it's fantastic. Oh, yeah. How you doing? Well, I just proposed to my girlfriend. We're going to get engaged. We're going to get married. It's fantastic. Oh, you know what? That's fantastic, man. Why don't you come on down to my concert? I'm playing at the Royal Palace. And then after, you guys can sit up front, get backstage passes. And then afterwards, I'll go up to dinner at the top of the Eiffel Tower with the president of France, you and your new fiance, and me, Joe Walsh, from the Eagles and the James Gang, and life's been good. And I'm like, this is going to be fantastic. And I get up to Joe, and he turns around, and it's an old French woman. And I said, oh, hey, hi. She looked at me like I was about to say something to her, and I was very awkward, kind of, acted like I saw a sparrow or something. I mean, what's French for faux pas? That's the joke that I do on that one. But it was, I think I learned a very important lesson, Christine, on that sunny June afternoon in France in my fugue state. And that's this: not everyone that looks like a potato is Joe Walsh. Back to you, Christine.
Thanks, Blaine. Wow, what a story. That is a terrific story. I'm a huge Joe Walsh fan, way back with the James Gang, and oh my gosh, that's funny as hell, man. Wonderful story. Thank you so much. Thanks, Blaine. That was funny. All right, you guys, we have one more fabulous story coming at you, and then we'll begin our after show. And if you haven't seen the after show yet, well, stick around. It's included in the ticket price, whether you paid money or you didn't. Everybody's invited to stick around for Story Smash, and you can play as well. So when the show is over, if you're in the audience, you want to stick around, come on in. We'll unmute everybody, and we'll just play a game is what we'll do. All right, you guys, our final performer tonight, she is an actress and a stand-up and a writer, and she's originally from Romania. Her credits include Closer to the Moon and Harley and the Davidsons, and she was selected as one of Tribeca Film Festival's 2017 Digital Creators to Watch. She is the co-creator of the digital series Patty and Marina, which you can find on YouTube. It's really good, Patty and Marina. And she's also the co-host of the Low Key Variety Show. It's a pre-pandemic show here in Los Angeles. Please welcome my friend, Smaranda Luna.
I love the pre-pandemic show. Hi, everyone. Oh my God, Blaine, your description of a flower marketplace in Paris made me feel good, but then it made me feel bad because, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Smaranda Luna, and I want to tell a little story about a summer that I had in Madrid a few years ago. I'm originally from Bucharest, Romania, and I was 21 at the time. And I went to drama school in Bucharest, and we were just before our summer vacation. It was, I had one more year of drama school, and then my dream was to go to graduate school for acting in the States. So I had the full summer in front of me to find a way to get money, to buy a ticket, to go to New York to audition for grad schools. And I decided that the best thing that I could do was to get to work as a migrant work in Spain as a lifeguard for the summer. A really, really bad idea, but at the time, it just seemed like the only way I can make some money. And then, so that was my first goal, make some money, go to Spain. I didn't know Spanish at the time, but Romanian is a Romance language, so you can kind of figure out and learn it easily. So I was like, I'm going to learn Spanish, I'm going to make some money. And then my ultimate goal was to have a torrid romance with a handsome Spanish guy. I was 21, so it was like full engines on, let's do this. I should have known that this is a bad idea because we had a lifeguard prep week and I barely did all of the tests that we're supposed to do to save a life. But again, this was going to be a lifeguard at a pool in Madrid where everybody knows how to swim. And I was like, well, what are the odds of me actually having to do something? It seemed fun. So I point out that my parents advised against it, but I prevailed. So I go to Madrid. I don't know any Spanish. And I start working, and it's really, really hard. It's 10 hours a day in the sun. Nobody knows English. Everybody's talking to me in Spanish. I'm very confused about what I have to do. You have to clean the pool every day and take these sacks of chlorine from under the pool and then take them on top of the pool. And it's miserable work. It's really, really, really hard. You're not supposed to have a sun umbrella. You're not supposed to read. You're not supposed, I didn't have a phone at the time, but you're not supposed to do anything but guard in the sun. I work every single day for 2 months. I don't have any friends. I started learning Spanish because nobody knew English. And then it's finally time for them to pay us. And the firm that was in charge of the lifeguards, the Romanian lifeguards, they don't pay us in time. So we decide to go do a strike and then go to the firm's headquarters in another part of Madrid and demand our euros. And I think it was something like 600 euros a month, with it was nothing, but to me it seemed like so much money. So we go to this firm headquarters, and by now I am 10. I haven't seen a person in 2 months. I don't have friends, just the people that I met at the pool. And I get to meet other Romanians. They worked as like workhorse, so we bitch and gossip about that. So we go to this firm headquarters and we demand our money. They say they're gonna pay us. And then on our way out, I see the handsomest boy/man I have ever seen in my entire life. If there's such a thing as lust at first sight, that was the first time in my life, besides, I don't know, seeing Antonio Banderas growing up in movies, or I just completely lose it. Like, I see this boy and I'm like, this is it. This is happening. Something is gonna happen. This has to happen. So I am so overwhelmed by the first time ever of I just couldn't. It was just an attraction that I've never felt before. That I don't do anything. I'm too nervous, and I feel like I'm not wearing any makeup. I look bizarre. We just like work all day at the pool, and then we were just driving around in buses in Madrid. So I leave the firm, and in the bus, I feel so like I've lost the opportunity of my lifetime. I almost start crying. I just can't believe I couldn't do anything or say anything, and I just didn't even know what I could have said or done. And then my friend Catalin, which is another Romanian friend who is like a very go-getter, he said that I should just text this guy. And at the time, Romania is pretty misogynistic country when I was growing up there, so you usually wait for the guys to come and hook up with the girls. So I'm like, oh no, I can't, it's too much. But anyway, Catalin said, okay, I'm gonna find out this guy's number, and I'm gonna text it to you. You should text him, invite him for a coffee. This is summer, this is Madrid, you could do this. So I described the guy as the most handsome man that has ever walked the streets of Madrid. And I get this guy's phone number. So at the pool, I ask for somebody's phone. They give me a phone, and I text him. And I say, hey, this is Smaranda, I'm a Romanian girl. I just saw you today at the office. I know this is really, really weird. Would you go out for coffee? And he texts me back and he says, yes, let's do it. Let's meet on Wednesday. And oh, I am just losing my shit. I tell everyone, like, oh my God, I have this day. This is so amazing. I'm so excited. On the day of the date, I wax everything. I doll up. I put on my best clothes. And I am so nervous. He was supposed to pick me up in front of the apartment complex where I worked at the pool at 7. And I'm so nervous that at 6:45, I vomit in the bathroom, which has never happened to me. And it has only happened one time before I had to go on a show. But it has never happened to me with like a human. I'm so excited. It's summer. I feel tan. I feel beautiful. I'm like, this is it. Oh, this is a stranger, by the way. I get out of the apartment complex and I see a nice car, and then I see a guy that I have never seen before in my life. This is a bald guy who is not my guy. And he comes towards me and he kisses me on the cheek and he says, hi, Smaranda, I am so happy you texted me. And I look at this guy and I am paralyzed. It's not the guy. It's not my guy. I am so taken aback by the fact that I got so excited and this is not it, that I get in the car with this stranger that I don't know. I don't say anything. He starts driving in the night in a city that I don't know. And midway through the ride, I start saying, hey, I'm so sorry. I think this is a misunderstanding. You are not the guy that I texted. I apologize. And he gets upset. He said, well, who are you talking about? And I said, my guy had hair. You don't have hair. And he says, oh, that's my friend Guillermo. And I didn't know. Okay. And then, so the guy feels miserable, but we end up going to get a drink and I can't get it together to just be civil. And I asked him to drive me back to my apartment complex. And I'm so upset. I was about to cry. And I'm, like I said, I'm 21. I know what I'm doing. This is a stranger. So this guy pays for our coffees and we get back in the car and he drives me back in the car and he's trying to kiss me. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested. Then I get out of the car and he says, I've never felt so bad in my entire life. And I say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I apologize. But can you please give me Guillermo's phone number so I can text him and ask him out for a date? And he says, no, of course. So I get back into my apartment complex and I am crushed. I am heartbroken, but also I just cannot understand why I got in the car with this person. Also, is this a joke? What's happening? It feels like, oh, it's never meant to be. And you know, when you get so excited about something and then it doesn't happen, it just broke me. So I cry all night long. And then the next day at the pool, I tell everyone about the tragedy. Can you believe what just happened? And I feel, again, this is a person I've never met, but I feel heartbroken. Like I've just been through a breakup with somebody I've been with for 10 years, very dramatic. So I just start working at the pool and then I just only have 2 more weeks of work and then I go back to Bucharest. So I just say to myself, you know, fuck that. And I'm just like working every day and I'm not worrying about that. And then a week later, I finish work at the pool and I see a text. I get a text and the text says, this is for an unknown number. And the text says, hi, this is Guillermo. I think you've met my friend Ivan and you guys went out for a drink. If you're still available, would you want to go out this week? And I start again. I am like, fuck yeah. But then I'm like, oh, this is a joke. Am I going to get killed? But then no, this is, and I say yes. So the whole thing happens again. I wax everything. I get ready. I wear the same clothes. But this time I don't vomit. And I'm very, I don't know. Is this a joke? Is this, I don't understand what is happening, but I'm doing it. Again, I tell everybody what's happening. So, I'm so nervous, but not nervous now. about the guy, I'm like, why am I doing this? But a thirst for adventure. I get out of the apartment complex, I see another car, and this is the guy. It's my guy. It's Guillermo, and he is super, super, super handsome and very Spanish. Doesn't know any English, so we speak in my now newly acquired Spanish. And I get in a car. He put some Madonna. I remember it was like Ray of Light. Remember that song? We go to a bar, and I have the absolute time of my life. My mind is blown. We get back after the bar, we get back in the car, and we start making up in the car, and it's amazing. And then I go to this guy's place, a stranger, and I have the best sex of my life so far by then, and it's fucking amazing. It's everything I imagined and more. And then the next morning he drops me off at the apartment complex, and it's like, yeah, this is what life is meant to be. And then of course I never hear from him ever again. I'm crushed, but I say to myself, okay, at least it was, I don't know, it's just one of those things when it's going to be amazing with a person or something between you, and it wasn't just in my imagination, so I just felt vindicated. So I get back to work, and I only have 2 more days at my apartment complex, and I decide to text him, although he didn't text me back before, and I say, hey, I'm about to go, do you still want to go again? And I get no answer, so I get really, really upset, and I go down to the pool to get some chlorine, and I have a meltdown. I start crying, and I'm like, oh, fuck. It would have been amazing to just see this guy one more time. But it is what it is. So I get up from the pool, and at the time we had some summer classes for babies at the pool. So we're all these babies that were 1-year-olds just with their instructor and their parents next to the pool, and they were getting swimming lessons. So I'm upset about this guy, and I see through the sea of parents and through the instructor, I see one of these babies. He's halfway into the water, and one of his wings is on and the other one is off, and it looks like he's drowning. And I look around, and I'm like, oh, surely somebody is here to help this baby not drown, like his parents or the instructor. And then I realize, oh shit, I'm the lifeguard. So I scream, I say, get out of the pool, and I jump in, I take the baby, I forget anything about CPR, which ends up being, I just get the baby out, and then just drag him to the outside of the pool. And then the guy that was supposed to be in charge of him, the summer camp instructor, pushed me away, and he does CPR to the baby. And the thing is, we saved this little baby from drowning. And that's my story about Madrid and my summer. Even in the pits of despair about my breakup, it ended up being a good thing. And I saved the baby, and the family gave me another extra 200 euros, which I wasted by buying Victor and Rolf that flower bomb perfume instead of saving the money for New York. But that was my adventure of my summer in Madrid. Yep. Thank you very much.
That is amazing, you guys. Smaranda, Luna, that is a great story. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm glad those parents gave you some money, man. You deserved it, for sure. And I'm sorry you didn't hear from Guillermo, but, at least you had the one night. Sounds like fun. All right, you guys. So listen, here's what's going to happen. We're going to start playing Story Smash in just a moment. But right now, I want you guys, wherever you are, to give a big round of applause to Johnny Cardinale, Cynthia Levin, Blaine Capatch, Smaranda, Luna, and I'm Christine Blackburn. You guys, will see you back here next Sunday. Good night.
Grapefruit moon, one star shine.